Hi, so I'm Judy, also known as the Curious Cook, and what I'm here to do today is to show you some recipes that we can cook with Green Touch avocado oil. Our website will tell you the benefits of this wonderful product, but the recipes we're going to do today will showcase how to use this at high cooking temperatures and how to use this as a raw product as well. So today we're going to do a couple of simple dishes for you. We're going to make a flavoured mayonnaise which will go on a crispy cooked piece of fish. So I'll start with the mayonnaise first. What we're going to do is we're going to separate 2 eggs and just use the egg yolks to make our mayonnaise. So put your egg yolks into your mixing bowl, and then to that we're going to add some mustard. I'm going to use for 2 egg yolks half a teaspoon of mustard. This just brings out the flavour of your mayonnaise. And we're going to add to that some lemon juice. You can use lemon juice or vinegar, and I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice today. Now the lemon juice gives your mayonnaise the acid that it needs to balance the flavours. So you just pop that straight in. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use an electric food mixer. You could use a hand blender, or you could use a Thermomix if you have one, and to blend the egg yolks with the lemon juice and the mustard. Now you just need to blend those until the yolks go slightly pale, as you can see in the bowl, and then we're going to add our oil. So we're going to use the Green Touch avocado oil here, and we're going to measure out 1 cup of oil. Now you can of course do half quantities of this, so you could use half a cup of oil, 1 egg yolk, 1/4 of a teaspoon of mustard, and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. But if you make too much, you can keep this in the fridge and it will keep for approximately 2 weeks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put our mixer onto a medium speed, and we're very slowly going to add the oil. You'll see we've got a lovely thick. So we've got our mayonnaise. What I'm going to do is split that into 2 bowls so that we can flavour each separately. Okay, so into one we're going to put some wasabi. Now the wasabi is to taste. I like to put about 1.5 teaspoons of wasabi in, but I would suggest that you add perhaps a teaspoon, and you see how it tastes at that point. You also want to put in a decent pinch of salt as well. I'd suggest the flaky sea salt for this. And into the second mayonnaise, I'm going to put some smoked garlic. Now this has been smoked on the barbecue. You could equally use roasted garlic, or you could use raw garlic as well. Again, the garlic is to taste. I like to put about 2 cloves of smoked garlic in, because it has a much milder taste than a raw garlic. So a raw garlic, you might just want to put half a clove of garlic in. Now we've got a fiddly clove here, so if you bear with me a second. Now, the easiest way to make a paste out of your garlic is to crush it with some salt. So don't put salt in your garlic mayonnaise first. Pop some salt on your bench top, and you're just going to squash it with your knife, and the garlic and the salt together are going to make a nice paste. And then you're just going to pop that in your mayonnaise, and you're going to mix that. Okay, so we're just going to taste the seasoning. So I think we'll put a pinch of white pepper in there. And we'll leave that for the flavours to develop. And we'll taste the second one of seasoning. Now I think that could have a little more wasabi. So I'm going to put another approximately half a teaspoon in. You can, of course, if you haven't split your mixture, do this whilst the mixer's running, and it will blend it well for you. Okay, so we'll put those aside. So now we're going to go on to our fish. So we've got some New Zealand snapper here. What we're going to do first of all is we're going to dry the fish. The reason why we're going to dry the fish is if we try to put a coating on the fish whilst it's wet, the coating won't stick to it. So if we get that fish nice and dry, the alternative thing you can do is you can sprinkle a small amount of flour on it, but that will thicken your coating, and it might take slightly longer to make it crispy. Okay, so we've got nice dry fish now. So what we need to do is make the coating for the fish. So what we're going to do is we're going to get an egg, crack it into a bowl. We're going to add a tablespoon or so of milk. Any milk that you have in your cupboard will do, in your fridge will do fine. And then we're just going to get a fork out, and we're going to whisk those two together. And then in this bowl, we've got some sesame seeds and some almonds. Now, we've got 70 grams of ground almonds, 70 to 75 grams, and we've got 25 grams of sesame seeds in that. Now to that we're going to add a very generous pinch of sea salt, remembering that this is going to season your fish, and the fish hasn't got any seasoning on it at all, and a very nice pinch of our white pepper. Just give that a bit of a mix around with your hands. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut our fish into portions that we can work with to make our fish tacos. So take your piece of fish. You can see that it's naturally into two sides, so we'll cut the smaller side off and keep that as one piece, and then we'll cut this other piece into two servings. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our pieces of fish, we're going to put them into the egg mixture and then into the almond mixture. Now what I suggest you do is you keep one hand for each mix, and then you're not going to get your hands in a real mess. Now if you get your fork, you can make this even easier. So you pop your fish into the egg and milk, drop it into your almond mixture, give it a shake, just make sure it's turned and got some of the crust on it, maybe press it in slightly and pop it on your plate. So repeat with the other pieces of fish. Just shake off the excess so that it's not too much on there. Give it a bit of a shake, press some coating onto it. Now we don't want it really thick like a coated piece of chicken, you just want it as a nice light coating. So, for the spiced fish, What we've got is a little spice mix. We've got 2 teaspoons of cumin here. It's ground cumin. We've got 1 teaspoon of smoked chili powder. Now, if that's going to be too spicy, then half that amount, or just use a smoked paprika rather than a chili powder. We've got 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of marjoram, but you could use oregano. We have 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. So we've just mixed this up together. What we're going to do is we're going to just once again portion our fish. Now this fillet's slightly larger, but we've got a naturally smaller side. So just so that we're going to use this nicely in our tacos later, we'll portion it up first. We'll sprinkle a little bit of our spice mix on each piece of fish. So I suggest you just sort of rub it in a little bit, just so that you get a nice coating on it. If the fish is thin, you might want to go slightly lighter on the coating. If the fish is thick, you might want to press it on a bit more, just so that you've got that flavour. Now I haven't pre-toasted these spices, because when we fry these in the pan over a high heat, it's going to toast those spices for us. You don't want your spices to burn. I'm just going to cut this really thin bit off the fish, as that will overcook before the rest of the fish is anywhere near cooked. Okay, right, so that's our fish nicely coated in the spice. You can always put a little bit more on if you think you missed a bit. Okay, so from here what we're going to do is we're now going to put our pan on the heat, and we're going to pop some of that avocado oil in. Okay, so we've got our pan on the heat. Now we're going to put in, I would think, about 3 tablespoons of avocado oil. You want to be able to get a decent coating in the pan to shallow fry, so we're talking about that sort of amount, and that's to start with. So you want to have the whole pan coated. Now we need to get the pan up to quite a high temperature here. I would say not as high as if you were going to stir fry, but this is going to be shallow frying, so it's going to be quite a high temperature. What I'm going to do is get a sesame seed out of our spice mix. I'm going to drop it in the oil, and when it sizzles, it's going to be hot enough for us to cook our fish. So what we could do, whilst we're waiting for that to heat up, so with our taco, we're going to serve some shredded cabbage and some carrot. So we're just going to very finely shred some white cabbage. Okay, so we've got some cabbage here. And we're going to take some thin ribbons off a carrot. Great carrot, you lose the flavour because the pieces of carrot are too small, whereas if you shred with one of these peelers, then you'll get a nice shred that you can taste. If you don't have one of these peelers, what you can do is once you've peeled your carrot, you can use your peeler to take some long thin strips off as well. And that's going to be nice served in our taco. Now that oil is now very, very hot, so we're going to very carefully lay these pieces of fish in there. You can hear that that's nice and hot. Now I've turned the heat down slightly as I've put that in there, because I can see that that oil is very, very hot indeed. And you can see that you're immediately getting a crust on that fish. Just be careful not to splash yourself, just as I did. Now, we literally need a couple of minutes with this. We're not going to serve this, we're going to redo this bit because that is just too hot now. somebody does have a nut allergy, don't use the same pan with the same oil, as you will be picking up some of the sesame seeds and the almonds that might cause somebody with an allergy some problems. You can see that that's sizzling beautifully straight away, and it smells absolutely stunning in this kitchen. So once again, just flip your first piece of fish over. You can see that that's got a lovely toasty colour on it. These thinner pieces will take slightly less time than our thicker piece. We're just going to grab a spring onion from here. We're going to cut that up. Just going to put a couple of shreds into our taco. By the time we've done this, we should be about ready. Okay. Yeah, that's a lovely colour. Let's pop that one out. Just check this, please. Beautiful. And lastly, our thickest piece. Yeah. So, now all of our pieces of fish are cooked. Move that out of the way. What we're going to do. So now what we've done is we've put our mayonnaises into our squeeze bottles, just for easy presentation and application to our tortilla. So we're going to get a tortilla, we're going to get our wasabi, and we're just going to put some mayonnaise in there. We're going to put a little bit of our shredded cabbage down the centre. We'll put some carrot in there, a little bit of spring onion, depending again on how much of these things you like. You pop what you want in there. And then we're just going to get a piece of fish. We're just going to lay it down the centre. We roll that up. You can always put some extra mayonnaise on the top if you fancy that. And there you go, one fish taco. Alternatively, if we're going to do a spicy one, we'll get another tortilla. We get our garlic mayonnaise. So we're going to place our piece of spiced fish on the top with some shredded cabbage again, some shredded carrot, some of our spring onion. Now you can put some fresh coriander in there as well, and roll it up, and there's your easy lunch dish. Okay. So if you want a presentation shot, okay, so today we've made tortillas filled with fish fillets coated in almonds and sesame seeds, or coated in our spice mix. We've added a flavoured mayonnaise to each of these with some shredded cabbage, carrot and some spring onions. Now all of the recipes will be on our website, so do enjoy making these, and do contact us with your feedback to let us know how you got on with our recipes. We'll see you next time for another avocado oil recipe session. Thank you.